Welcome to my review / commentary of Barbie Fairytopia. I'm going to be going over all three Barbie Fairytopia movies. I grew up watching these movies and I love the Barbie movies, the Disney princesses, all that. So the story follows a protagonist named Elina, and she has three friends, Dandelion, Bibble, and Peony, her home, which might not even be considered a friend. Right from the beginning, we know that she is a wingless fairy and that she gets bullied for that. In this fairy realm, there's the enchantress, like the main ruler of Fairytopia, and the enchantress has guardians. Elina finds out that one of the guardians has been taken and there is suspicions that it could be Laverna, and Laverna is the enchantress' sister, the evil sister. Elina dismisses that idea because she doesn't believe Laverna to be an actual fairy. After she dismisses that idea, she goes to sleep at her house, wakes up to realize that Peony is not doing so well. She's looking green and most of the fairies have this sickness going around. Lena is informed that their guardian has been taken. Closest guardian is pretty far away, a good distance. And so Elina randomly decides, okay, I'm gonna go on this journey with Bibble. Keep in mind she has never been outside the meadow and Dandelion tells her this. Elina, after hearing her friend's concerns, says, believe me, I don't think I could do it either. Which is quite contradictory because first we get this impression of Elina that's very confident.
I have to go to Fairy Town.
And then all of a sudden she has these thoughts of, wait, this is scary, let me not do this. Dandelion decides to go with Elina and Bibble, but ultimately the sickness gets to her as well and she is not able to fly. She is not feeling well, so she goes back home. It's up to Bibble and Elina together on this journey to fix this problem. On this journey, everything is going fine until they reach a point where Elina has no way of reaching Azura, the guardian, unless she makes a huge risk. She could either jump on this flower to potentially reach Azura and hope that it gets her there, or she could potentially miss and fall in RIP. It takes a lot of guts and Elina's very brave. Like, that's one of her many traits and she's wonderful for that, but me personally, I would have been like, let me go back. She doesn't hesitate and immediately thinks of the next possible solution to get her to point B. This girl is brave. So she jumps, takes that leap of faith and continues to go see Azura. This scene really showed me that the fairy realm that she's in doesn't really accommodate to wingless fairies. We see this sometimes in real life with disabilities. Sometimes the places don't accommodate, and so Elina really has to adapt to whatever environment she's in. She should be accommodated for. She meets Azura and Azura tells her that she has a rainbow in her eyes and that shows that she's destined for great things. Elina dismisses that and says, yeah, right. Can we really blame her? I mean, the beginning scene is literally Elina getting bullied for not having wings. She has learned not to have any self-worth. She doesn't have high self-esteem, and that's due to the environment that she grew up in. I mean, all these fairies have wings and you're the only one that doesn't. That does something to you. So she dismisses that. Also shows some relatability to Elina's character since she grew up in this environment where she was constantly put down, and it wouldn't make sense for her to be fully confident in herself and really not have any self-doubts or insecurity. It wouldn't make sense. You would have to have very thick skin for that not to get to you. I love that this movie portrays Elina's doubts, insecurities, and fears. This scene with Azura, she quickly accommodates for Elina, getting a flower in her home and just make it accessible for her. And I'm like, why couldn't this have been done before in the Magic Meadow? Why couldn't she have been accommodated for? But no. And shortly after, of course, Azura gets captured by Laverna's minions, the fungus. But before that, she actually gave Elina her necklace. So cute. I'm obsessed with this necklace, by the way. She gave her necklace to take care of because she knew she was gonna get kidnapped at one point. And with Elina and having the rainbow, she was like, I have confidence in this girl. Good thing she did that. She gets taken away, and then from that point on, the story is really just a bunch of filler. Not really much memorable scenes, to be honest. After rewatching, the pace is very slow. It gets kind of boring at times, to be honest. The part that I really like about the journey is when she gets to meet Nalu for the first time. That interaction is so funny because you see Nalu all flustered and so mesmerized by Elina's beauty, and he gets shy. It's so funny also seeing him raise up these mermaids. That scene was memorable, but the rest is really slow paced. slow. Fast forward, Elina makes it to Laverna's castle. I forgot what it's called, but it's just her place. She makes it there. Laverna puts a spell on her to put the necklace onto Azura so she could continue her evil schemes. Laverna tries to target Elina's vulnerable spot of wanting wings, but the wings obviously represent assimilating into the society of fairies and just belonging. That's what the wings would do for Elina. They would help her assimilate into that world easily without getting bullied or harassed. Elina wakes up once Azura tells her, for the friends you haven't met yet. That it really hit Elina deeply because she cares about other people. She cares about giving to others and is really a selfless character and ultimately destroy Laverna's plan. Point in the story where Elina saves the day, it is a great message because it sends the message you have a character who has a disability and despite that was able to find strength within themselves with who they are because their disability does not define them. It's not who they are. But that point or theme quickly gets dismissed when the enchantress actually gives Elina wings. So you're saying we do have to change a part of ourselves to thrive. Also important to consider that Elina did not have to accept the enchantress gift. She didn't have to. She did. She could have easily been like, oh, I don't want this necklace, take it off. I don't want wings, take it back. But she did, and it makes sense why she didn't take it off. All this time, it's been a struggle for her, and it's something she deep down wanted, and she did not reject. So in a way, it signifies that she does want to assimilate into the society, and she does want to be accepted and belong. I believe in this movie shows that Elina is a character with so much courage, bravery. It's admirable for any young girl to see. It's a wonderful message. Sometimes her actions and thoughts can contradict one another. I think that's great because in all honesty, you could have two thoughts at the same time. For example, like you could have those fears and insecurities, doubts that I shouldn't do that or that's too risky. It's something that brings you fear, but at least she values other people. She values her medal. She values the community that she's in, even if she might not fully belong. Despite all her fears, thoughts of insecurities, she goes for what she values the most, chooses bravery. You can still pursue what you value despite all the fears and insecurities you might have. Next part is Barbie Mermaidia, one of my all-time favorites. Out of all the three, this one's my favorite. So the plot starts with Nalu being captured by Laverna. Laverna plans to take over Barbie Fairytopia and become the most powerful person, and even more powerful than the enchantress by getting this special berry. And she needs Nalu to get her to that berry. So she captures him. Elina and Nalu have met before. They have become friends, and so Elina hears about Nalu being captured and she wants to go help him. She goes to the ocean and there she finds Nori. She is also looking for Nalu, and then Elina tells her that he has been captured. Elina wants to team up with her because Nori knows the waters better than her. Nori is sassy and doesn't like Elina because she is jealous of Elina. I wouldn't say she hates her, but certainly there is a dislike. She's like, don't come for my man. So she just doesn't want Elina to come with her on this journey. Elina doesn't give up on this and immediately follows her wherever she goes. Ultimately, Nori just accepts that Elina has proven herself to be able to follow her along on this journey despite having wings. I remember watching the racing scene between the mermaid and Elina and being like, wow, this is so dramatic and intense. This girl does not like Elina at all. They go on a quest to find the Oracle Delphine, which has the answers to where Nalu is located. They find Delphine after this iconic scene.
Open my shell! But of course.
That is literally the most memorable part of this movie. Just the way that she says it is so funny. And then her face. Iconic, most memorable scene from this movie. Delphine tells them that she won't be able to give them the answer that they're looking for because first they have to prove themselves. Nori, of course, is very irritated that she won't tell them. So Delphine says, you have to prove yourselves at the depths of despair. There you will find the mirror of the mist. And there it will tell them where to find Nalu. But she tells them, okay, this requires a lot of strength and you need a mermaid tail. Elina doesn't have a mermaid tail. She just has her wings. So she doesn't want to give up her wings. Elina says, I just got these wings. I can't give them up. Based on what we saw in the previous film, can we really blame her for becoming attached to her wings? Elina's wings have become part of her identity, so giving them up, even if it's just for a short period, it seems like too much for her to handle. Saying that it is very easy for us to attach ourselves ourselves to external things. But as many spiritual leaders have said, when you attach yourself to external things, then that leads to suffering. As with Elina's case, she immediately identified with the wings that she didn't have for a while, and now she has a possibility of losing them. She just doesn't want to put herself in that situation. So Elina says, I won't need it, but thanks. They go to the depths of despair. Nori is able to swim through. She struggles a bit, but not as much as Elina, because again, Elina needs a tail. So Elina just can't do it. She's like, I'm just gonna stay here. Nori's like, don't worry about it. Elena's like hesitant. She knows she has to trade in her wings for a tail, but she just accepts what Nori says and doesn't give up her wings yet. And Nori gets to the point where a sea plant traps her, and Nori is screaming for help. And so Elina has a choice to help her friend or to keep her wings. Elina, of course, chooses to save Nori despite losing part of her identity. Immediately when she trades in her wings for a tail, she says, what have I done? She's in shock, but immediately goes to the rescue. What Elina values more than her wings is the people in Mermaidia. I mean the mermaids in Mermaidia. The fairies in Fairytopia. She really values the community that she lives in. She puts what she wants aside and goes for what she believes is right and most important to her. I'm skipping a big portion of the plot. They're going on this journey to find Nalu, and finally finding him, Elina has to come to the decision again to keep her wings or give them up to save Mermaidia. High stakes are at play here. So she has to make a decision really quickly. She decides that she wants to save Mermaidia because she is a selfless character. There is a period where she is really sad about giving up her wings. She has to think about what she has lost. She is grieving. But through it all, Nori remembers that there is a berry that reveals one's true self. She gives it to Elina in hopes that it will help her. Elina doesn't believe that this will help her because she has concerns that when she eats that berry, she'll remain a mermaid and not be a fairy like she originally wants to be. But Nori grounds her in this scene, and Nori tells her, would that be so horrible? You'd still be you. You'd be smart, brave, and everything that makes you special. Elina really takes a step back and realizes that who she is not tied to her wings.
You're right.
She is special without them. She has worth without them. This movie, we had seen that she had lost sight out of what makes her special and that she shouldn't be attached to her wings. This movie teaches us to really focus in on what makes us special outside of external things, what makes us truly special, and to value ourselves for who we are. It also shows us that detaching to other external things from our identity can be really helpful because that doesn't lead to suffering. If you stay grounded and detached, then ideally you wouldn't have suffering because you know that all the things around you are temporary. Beautiful, wise words said by spiritual leaders, but sometimes can be hard to uphold and really follow. What really saves the message from Barbie Fairytopia is Barbie Mermaidia. Without Barbie Mermaidia, Barbie Fairytopia wouldn't be as strong of a movie. It'd be really flat, but here in the second one, we get to see more of Elina's character, more of her attachment to her wings, how she struggles to let that go, how she grieves in this process, and ultimately learns a good lesson through her journey as being a mermaid. It's really helpful on her next journey. She learned a lot about herself as a mermaid. She went through so many struggles just to get to Nalu. And again, it's proven to herself that she can handle any obstacle, going against one of the villains in her world twice and defeating them. She was brave enough to go and help her friends and her community, and that gives her confidence, and that shows her that no matter what, she is someone who is special. Now we're in the last Barbie Fairytopia movie from the series, Barbie Magic of the Rainbow. The story follows Elina and other fairy apprentices who have been chosen by the Guardians to lead the Flight of Spring. If the Flight of Spring doesn't open and has a rainbow, then they are sentenced to 10 years of winter. The stakes are high here. This is an annual thing. So Elina goes on this journey to just learn all the skills necessary to open the Flight of Spring with her peers. The peers don't like her that much. She has like one friend, which doesn't really make sense. You would think that they would finally start accepting her and embracing her, but the way that some of the characters react to Elina in this movie is very hostile, very mean, very much giving jealousy. And it's no surprise when you see people succeeding in real life, sometimes there's always going to be those people who judge and are jealous of you and have assumptions about your character. Her peers here think that she's a show-off, love or that have this assumption about her and what they've heard about her, but without actually getting the chance to know her. Most of this movie was spent on Elina just trying to hone in on her skills to open the flight of spring. She struggles a lot, and that plays a little with her confidence. Despite beating Laverna twice, she still is lacking some confidence in these skills, and on top of that, her peers aren't really supportive and kind of making fun of her. So that doesn't help in her confidence, but despite that, I love that Elina continues to push through. So later on, Elina encounters Laverna as the toad, but she has no idea that is Laverna. She mistakenly turns this toad into Laverna, and that of course leads to problems because Laverna wants to seek revenge and ruin the flight of spring and sentence Fairytopia to 10 years of winter. Elina, after her mistake, tries to warn the guardians, tries to tell everybody that Laverna is here, and nobody believes her. Nobody has trust in her word. They're just like, you girl, no. They even bring out this projector magical thing that makes it appear like Laverna is somewhere else when in reality that's fungus. Once again, it's not given the immediate support that she is asking for as we've seen in the previous two films. So she has to fight to get that support, which is a constant thing that she has to go through, which is quite upsetting. First, the expected ending, Elina is able to defeat Laverna with the support of her peers. They finally come to their senses and they're like, wait, this girl's not that bad. She's actually telling the truth and she's trying to save us. So might as well support her. They couldn't have done that before. I don't know. This movie just shows us that teamwork and getting support from others is very important. That's the main message I got from this movie. My favorite and the best Barbie Fairytopia movie is the second one, Barbie Mermaidia. And that is because the climax, the plot is just more intriguing. The pace is also very good. There's points where it gets intense. There's interesting side quests that are very intriguing. I love the characters. Nori is so sassy and jealous. And I love how towards the end, Elina and her have established a friendship. Some even would say that they have more than a friendship, potentially lovers. And that I'll leave to the audience to decide. The stakes are also very high in Barbie Mermaidia because if Elina doesn't save Mermaidia, then things could end up pretty bad. Many more folk would be gone. Sceneries are also lovely. Just combining fairies with mermaids is like magical. Such a wonderful thing to do. I love when movies do that. I love all things whimsical, fairies, princesses, mermaids, all that. And so when it's combined, those two fairy tales are combined, it's just super magical. They can't go wrong with that, and they did not disappoint. I love Fungus the most in this movie. I know many don't really like the evil characters, but me personally, I find it funny, like that scene where
just make a left at this coral.
That scene is so funny to me. I just love seeing the villains struggle with Nalu and how Barbie movies are so unserious.
I love you, Dad.
Another scene that really sticks out to me is when Bibble is singing in different and talking in different tones. I remember watching that as a kid and just ultimately laughing and replaying it so much. Now it's still funny and I still enjoy it. So this one is definitely in my top 3 favorite Barbie movies. So in the first Barbie Fairytopia movie, actually, I thought it was a very slow-paced movie. The climax wasn't really that strong. It was still kind of slow. So at times, I will not lie, rewatching it was pretty boring. And I don't see any kids, especially in this generation where the attention spans are really low, to sit through the whole Barbie Fairytopia movie, beginning to end, and not get distracted. The scenes that stick out to me is Asura. I love that we get to see Elina's home, Peony. That's such a cute scene. Everything is beautiful. I love the sceneries. I love the pastels. And the pastels, of course, from these Barbie movies has influenced my style and just loving hyper feminine, whimsical, fairy-like things that has sticked with me ever since. So I love it. I love the aesthetics of it all. Side characters aren't really that special to me in this. I love that the first movie shows Elina with her hair down. We get catfished a lot with these Barbie movies in that the DVD screen that they advertise is a whole different person than what we see in the movie. Elina's hair is usually up, but in the covers of these movies, their hair is usually down and sparkly and there's makeup. So we were definitely getting catfished by these Barbie movies, but that's okay because it was probably probably due to not having enough funding for these movies. In Barbie Magic of the Rainbow, I don't think this movie was necessary. Did it really teach us anything more about Elina? Not more, but she got a confidence boost again. She grew a little bit from that experience, that she is a character with strength and bravery. Not really much to add there. The message isn't as strong. I feel like Barbie Mermaidia already delivered us with a strong message about attachment, about identity. Despite it not being ultimately necessary, I still enjoy it nonetheless. Next, let's talk about Elina's outfits. I'm so excited to talk about them. So, the worst outfit, in my opinion, out of all the three would be Magic of the Rainbow. And hear me out on this one. First of all, me personally, I like girly colors, pastels, pinks, blue. So I like that. But once other colors are added, like oranges, yellow, they're not really my favorite. So when I see the rainbow, it feels like colors are clashing. It's not really coordinating. It feels like random colors are just put together. And that throws me off a little bit. I don't know how best to describe it. It's just, it feels like too much is going on when rainbow is added to a look. That's just my personal taste. In terms of my favorite look from all the three, I would say Barbie Mermaidia has the best looks for me because it combines part of, the mermaid scales, which I love. I love that they added part of her mermaid experience into this outfit. I also love that the bottom has petals and that it's a mix of hot pink and light pink. I love the contrast and how big her wings are. I love it all. Whereas the first look I do love as well, but since it's all one shade of pink, then it does fall flat and it does sort of blend with the background. It doesn't really stand out as much as the second outfit. Don't get me wrong, like I said, I love that shade of pink, but it doesn't really stick out from the background. I love the petals. I love her wings that they sparkle. I think also what would have helped is if her hair was down, that would have slayed the whole look. Let's talk about Laverna for a quick second.
Darling, did you miss me?
Because I love this villain. She's so funny and unserious at times. Sometimes she's like, I'm gonna destroy all of Barbie Fairytopia. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do all evil sorts of things. But then you see scenes like in the first movie where she's feeding the fairy she captured some snacks and some treats and having conversation and teaching them on a chalkboard the plan and drawing them how they want to be drawn. It's like, be so serious. She's totally not serious, and that's why I love her. I love her iconic green hair, all the dark colors, sharp contrast to the Enchantress. I love her look. To conclude, I love the Barbie Fairytopia movies. I'm an adult now and I'm still watching them, so I'll forever be watching these movies because they are truly iconic masterpiece for any type of girly who loves girly things, fairies, mermaids, all that fairy tale stuff. This is the movie for you to watch if you haven't watched it, which I highly doubt because these were really popular in the 2000s, and if they made 3 of them, well, it must have been really popular. And I just love everything. I love the side character Bibble, which I didn't talk about much, but he's so funny and he's so cute. They will forever be my comfort movies. And again, overall, I just love Elina, how she is able to, we see her on this journey of gaining some self-confidence and learning these lessons about support from friends and really embracing who she truly is without attaching herself to external things. We love to see her growth as a character, and I love how these transformations over time does show her transformation, thus represent her transformation and how she's growing as an individual. Truly wonderful, beautiful, stunning. If you have any other Barbie movies that you would like me to see or comment on, please let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day or night.